I'm Dutch, and let's react to the Americans. Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Johan, and I'm a typical Dutchman. And if you're planning to come over to Europe for your holidays, check the land out, or if you want to plan to live here permanently, or if you're wondering why is everything so expensive in the United States in comparison with Europe, then you are at the right place, because in this channel I react to videos about the cost of life and living in the US versus the cost of life and living in Europe or in the Netherlands specifically. And today we're going to take a look at another video of Jordan Green. I have done some videos of him. Posts that prove America is a corporation and not a country, and then an American reacts. So he reacts and I react to him to prove that America is a corporation. And that's something that I always thought about since I'm diving into the life and living of America and looking at the Americans, that the more I see about the things in America, the more I know, and I think that it's all about making money, having money, and things are done with money. So everything is about capitalism, and he says these posts prove that America is a corporation. Let's take a look at what he meant to do.
I've done a lot of risky things in my life. One of the first major risks I took as a young adult was I decided to forego the opportunity to attend my dream college, the University of Texas at Austin, a college that I had worked for the prior 4 years to get into in order to go to community college.
Okay, right out of the door. You work 4 years while my cable is. You work 4 years to get into a college, and then you say, no, I do not go in a college, and I go to the community college. I do not exactly know what the difference is, but yeah, that's a risk. I guess because in America it's a risk. Over here in Europe and in the Netherlands it's not a risk. If you're not going to the one school and you choose another school, it doesn't matter. But why is it a risk?
And the reason why I made that decision was because I had the foresight to recognize that taking out $100,000 in student loans at the age of 18 was simply not a sound decision.
I agree. At the age of 18, and I've seen many young people in front of me in my time as a teacher, having to take out a loan for some reason, not for some reason, but to take out a loan for, let's say, buying a bike or buying a car was risky enough, but taking a loan of $100,000 for your college, for your education, wow. Ooh. I hope that is the difference between a community college and the college that he was working for, was the difference in cost, I hope. But I fully agree. You should not take out a loan for $100,000 for your education.
Especially for someone who didn't even know why I wanted to go to college in the first place. Now, once I went to community college, I ended up taking another risk shortly thereafter, which was dropping out altogether. Because what I realized was that
yeah, okay, that's another cup of tea. If you're dropping out, that's really a risk between the choice of getting a loan and no loan and finishing your education, or the risk of having no costs, no debt, and not finishing your, that's a risk. I can agree that this is a risk, and I want to know why.
Even if I go to community college for the first 2 years, I'm still going to have to pay $50,000 in student loan debt after I graduate from university.
Okay. So it's not 100,000. It's then only 50,000.
Because community college doesn't provide bachelor's degrees. Now, I just want to apologize.
Okay. You don't get a bachelor degree from a community college after 2 years. You told me it was 2 years. So you need to go another 2 years or 4 years, I guess, too, to get actually a bachelor degree. Yeah. If he had the foresight at the age of 18, 19, smart move.
Apologize in advance, because this video is more than likely going to turn into a rant, because out of all the things I have ever spoken about on this channel, I think this might be the thing that I am the most passionate about. That said, in this video I'm going to be reacting to a few videos on TikTok about some people who are down atrocious, who are down abysmal when it comes to their student loan situation. These are the people who, when they were faced with that same decision at the age of 17 or 18, they decided to go to that university and stay in that university. And now they are suffering the consequences. Without further ado, let's go ahead and watch this first video right here.
Yeah, but I waited. So, okay. Those are the people who actually did go to college and did get a student debt from, I guess, 100,000.
I just checked my student loans because I needed to get the information to someone, and I started with 80,000. I have been paying for 10 years.
I started with 80,000 and I'm paying for 10 years. Paper, pen and paper. $80K, 10 years. That should be 8K a year. That's not to do. It's not doable. Okay.
Last year, I paid 6,000 lump sum because that's really the only way to get it low. That took it down.
She paid 6K. So she's left with 74 now.
Down to 76,000 after I've been paying for 9 years. The grant.
After already paying for 9 years. Did I hear this correct?
Last year, I paid 6,000 lump sum because that's really the only way to get it low. That took it down to 76,000.
76 now. That's 4K.
After I've been paying for 9 years.
4K in 9 years.
The grand total is I have paid $120,000 and I still owe 76. I think I might be late to the game.
What? She paid 100 and what?
The grand total is I have paid $120,000.
She has paid 120. Damn. So she already paid 40K more than the original loan in 9 years and still has 76. Yeah, I will say in the Netherlands. I will not say in Europe. Maybe some other subscribers or viewers can react to other places in Europe, but I know in the Netherlands, if you have a student debt from, let's say, college and university, because we don't have really a college, it's pre-university and university, and you can do your masters, etc. I did a video about that. So then you maybe after 5 or 6 years or 8 years, you have, if you choose to, because it's not required, it's by your own choice, then you have a student debt of maybe max 10 to 12K.
Dollars, and I still owe 76. I think I might be late to the game learning about this. Student loans are...
Listen, I definitely empathize with her. I feel the stress. Look at her face. She's not bullshitting. Look at the amount of angst and tension and stress on her face. And there's nothing you can do. When you have the student loans, you're stuck. You can't even file bankruptcy to get rid of them. They're immune to all of that. They stick and they will garnish your wages. It's a horrible situation to be in. And guess what? A lot of people don't know this.
Yeah. Cool. What would I say? How stupid can you be? It's my reaction if you don't get informed about and you don't think through like he did. If I go to college and I want to do whatever degree you want to earn, I have to pay X and then I have to loan some other amount and then the total amount I will have. If you don't do this in advance, I can only say if you fail now, if you have a university degree, a bachelor, you should know by that time that you're smart enough how to handle your student debt. If you find it out 9 years later that you're not handling well enough your student debt, then you don't earn that bachelor degree in whatever you did. Or don't you teach your students how to calculate?
Let's say, for example, you wanted to move to Europe. You say, you know what, I'm tired of being an American citizen. I'm tired of the gun violence and the lack of affordable and accessible healthcare. I want to move to Europe for a better quality of life and become a citizen of, let's say, the Netherlands.
Good idea, but
you go through all of the steps. You say, I'm ready to become a Dutch citizen. You can't. Why? Because for some of these countries, really for a lot of countries, you can't have dual citizenship with the US. And in order to renounce your American citizenship, you must have a $0 debt balance with the US government. In other words, if you have student loans that you borrowed from FAFSA, which is the governmental financial aid program, you are stuck. You are stuck. You are fucked.
Okay. I didn't know that. So, according, if he's, I accept that this is the truth that he's telling you. That's why a lot of people don't get over to Europe or to Canada or to Mexico, leaving the United States, because they still have some kind of debt with the US government. Yeah, that explains a lot. Then you really are stuck in the United States.
The loans are really messed up.
Yeah, they are really messed up. So here's what's happening here. She didn't realize that making minimum payments with a high interest rate would mean her student loan balance grows as she tries to pay it down. So she's paid down $4,000 from her original balance while having paid 120 grand total.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
For an $80,000 loan. Y'all, this is the reality of student loan. This is why you can't just make minimum payments. This is why you shouldn't get on these income-based repayment plans where it keeps your payment nice and low as a gift to you, while your student loan balance balloons and balloons and balloons. It could grow 50%, even 100% if you make these minimum payments. You got to throw extra at it. Use the debt snowball method. Get these out of your life. Don't wait a decade.
Listen, I feel like the prior generation, or a lot of people from the prior generations, don't really understand the gravity of how this is affecting people. Because a lot of the people who have these types of student loans, they're not necessarily going into law, medicine, or engineering. And that's one of the most common arguments that I hear is, well, you should have picked a major that pays more. Well, newsflash, we still need teachers. We still need public workers. We still need people to fill these roles that don't make $150,000. That's how a functional society is built.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree. Again, I agree with him. We still need the more other occupations also filled. That's all right. And what I said earlier is they don't teach the students how to handle this money issue, how to watch over their finances, how to look into it, think about it. They just do their degree in whatever occupation they want to, but it should be, in my opinion, a part of the curriculum somewhere at the best place would be in the first year and even in the first half of a year of a new education. And then they would need to be explained if you want to do this education, if you want to be whatever, a teacher or so, these are the consequences. This is what it's going to cost you. And this is the best way to get rid of those debts.
Fun fact, and I know this is going to come as a bit of a shocker, but the only major that I found interesting when I was in college trying to decide what I wanted to do was urban planning, which is very ironic because I make a lot of videos talking about the difference in urban planning between the US and the Netherlands. But I didn't go into urban planning because I did the math. I ran the numbers in my head and I said, well, if I'm going to take out $100,000 in student loans for a job that caps out at $100,000 or $120,000, and that's after 20 or 30 years of work, that's just not worth it. It's just not worth it for me. So
so he took the risk, but I don't say that this is a risk. He was smart, and that should have been taught to each and every student in each and every college, that these are the risks you're going to take. And are you still want? And they won't, because as a student steps out, drops out, they miss on money to keep the college going. So I'm
very grateful every single day that I did not put myself in a position like she did. And I'm not saying it's her fault, but obviously it's her responsibility to pay them off. Now, me personally, I'm well aware of the fact that supply and demand is the underlying principle of any free market society. And because of that, I decided to do my part in lowering the perceived demand of college by simply dropping out.
Yeah, I understand why. And it's not her fault, I agree, but it's the fault of the college. It's the fault of the education system not to educate young people, young adults at the age of 17, 18, 19, 20, to make them aware what the costs and the risks are of doing that education, even if it's not becoming a doctor or something else. These are the risks. It's a part of the education system's fault that they don't do this.
So maybe by me dropping out, I made her loans just a little bit less. I don't know. Obviously, there's not a one-to-one correlation like that. But I'm saying this to say that if more people simply watched videos like this one right here and made their decisions based on that complete picture of information, not just based on what their parents are telling them about how they need a degree, which is absolute bullshit in 2025, maybe the cost of college would drop because the demand would drop. I don't know. That said, let's go ahead and look at this next video right here.
The cost of college will drop because the demand drop. I don't think so. Less demand doesn't make it cheaper. If they want to attract students, they should have better curriculums. That's how we did it when our students dropped. It's the fault of the education. I don't think that if more people drop out and don't have a degree, that the society will benefit of it. I don't think so.
Here.
Currently, my student loans are sitting at about $173,292.68. The average interest for all of the loans, because if you have student loans out, you know it's not just one giant loan, it's like...
So, not to cut her off there, but right here it says BA and JD. So that's Juris Doctorate, I think. Basically, that's a law degree. So she has a law degree and a bachelor's, $173,292. That's a lot of money.
Oh boy. $173,000 of student debt at, what was it, 6 or 7% interest rate or something? Here, if you are free and you can come over to Europe and put your kids here in college, and they want to have eventually a law degree, they have, well, like I said, a debt of maybe 15 to 25,000 because it's a law degree, so it takes a couple of years extra, but never $173,000. Never.
I don't know how much a law degree would cost in some of the European countries. Maybe you can help me out with that if you're familiar.
Yeah, let's take a look. If you want to be a lawyer. This is AI. Lawyers, professionals, education. Grand total $13,867. Sorry, almost 14,000. That's it. Like I said, max 15,000 euros to become a lawyer over here with exclusive VIT. Total amount for a 2-year education, and that's it. 13,000, almost 14,000 euros. Then you'll have your degree. Oh, you won't see it because I see. Can I shift it? Yeah, I can't. Okay, but I can tell you it's 14,000 in total.
Europe, but this is pretty steep. And here's the thing. So, fun fact, another thing that I considered doing when I initially intended on going to college was I was going to major in economics and then try to get into law school after. Now, was this largely influenced by my sister going to medical school and me feeling like I needed to live up to that expectation? Yes, if I'm being completely honest, it was. And I'm saying that to say that I almost put myself in this kind of position right here, which we're about to see is much worse than even what you see right here, simply for the sake of social validation, which I suspect a lot of people are doing in this day and age. And look, free will, everyone should do what they feel is right. But me personally, again, I am grateful every single day that I did not put myself in this kind of position.
Yeah, I understand. And knowing my students, yeah, at that age, you're still finding yourself, looking for yourself, looking around you, looking up to people who do certain jobs or have certain skills that you look like, I want to do that too. And then you choose that kind of education. And here in Europe, that's not a problem. You can do this. And if you eventually, after 2 or 3 years, you think, it's not going to be, I'm going to switch to, then it's not a problem too. I had a lot of students who doing computer techniques, ICT, IT, and then after the first year, they find out that being an IT man is something else as being good with computers. And they switch to other educational parts of, to other directions of the education with no extra cost at all. They just switch first year into IT, and then the other 2 or 3 years, they go to a different direction. Why not? No strings attached.
It's like 29 little loans. Average interest rate for those annually is 4.68%. Interest charge per month is $675.84 for next month.
I thought 7%, but this is 4.68. And for July, she has to pay the interest of $675. That's the interest. So you need to put in what? 1K, 2K each month to get a lower interest and get, wow.
If I was to wait until the end of my forbearance period to start being able to pay, I would be accumulating an additional $11,854.86 in interest. Even though I've paid off some of my...
When I was, I want to say 21 years old, I started making some decent money from YouTube, and I went and leased a BMW. And if you've been following my channel since 2021, you know all about that situation. It was one of the worst mistakes I ever made in my life. Looking at these numbers right here, this is about what my BMW lease payment was. It was around $718 a month, so it was at the higher end of what you see right here. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is just interest, just for the interest, not even the actual loan.
Mm-hmm.
Just the interest.
I agree. This is...
Actually, I received a comment yesterday on one of my videos where someone was saying that they can't wrap their heads around the idea that $37,000 a year is not a sustainable salary for someone in America. They couldn't really wrap their heads around that because, of course, in Europe, $37,000 in a lot of European countries is more than sufficient.
Yeah, if you earn 37K with your taxes, etc., for 37K, you have a decent life. 37K is about, well, let's say $2,600 a month in your pocket on your bank account, and you can do everything. You can have clothes, you can drive a good car, you can do your groceries more than sufficiently, you can have your everything. It's $2,800, not a problem at all.
This is why it's not sufficient. Now, obviously, most lawyers are not going to make $37,000. Most lawyers are going to start off anywhere from $75,000 to $100,000. But this is still very, very steep. And when you consider the fact that a lot of times in order to get that $75,000 to $100,000 job, you have to be in a bigger city. You think about the cost of living, you're paying maybe $2,000 to $2,500 in rent and all of the other expenses that come with that, plus these student loans. It's easy to see how you can put yourself in a very tough financial spot and be living paycheck to paycheck, even as a lawyer. And something else I forgot to mention from earlier, the reason why I ultimately decided to not pursue law, aside from the fact that it just sounded absolutely miserable, just personally speaking, maybe some people enjoy it, but I just wasn't one of those people. But the reason why I decided to not pursue that was because I found out that getting a law degree doesn't guarantee that you make $150,000 or $200,000.
No, no, it isn't. Because a lot of people want to be lawyers. So, yeah, the law firms can choose, and it's hard to get a lawyer, to be a lawyer that actually earns a lot of money.
A year, like I anticipated. My sister, again, she graduated from medical school. She's pretty much guaranteed to come out the gate making $150,000. Unless she decides to do some sort of nonprofit work or something like that, which, by the way, society also needs. But I digress. She's gonna make a guaranteed $150,000 a year starting. As a lawyer, you could be making $50,000 a year, but you're still on the hook for all of this. That sounds like one of the most miserable positions you could possibly be in.
I agree.
Just my 2 cents.
My other debt.
If it only was 2 cents. Get over here.
And am actively working towards paying towards others, this additional cost kills you. Unless you can throw $1,000 at it at a time, you're not really making any progress. You're just eating that money every month, which is why I haven't been paying towards it, because I'm not just gonna have that money being eaten when I need to actually feed my family. If you're also paying off a crap ton of debt, have student loans out the ass, hit follow, because I'm gonna show you guys how I'm paying it. Okay, that's it. Love you guys. Bye.
So, I know a lot of people probably think that maybe someone like her should have worked while she was in school. She should have worked her way through college and paid off the cost as she went. Now, I don't know how in the hell you think you're gonna make that much money as you go when you're a full-time student. I mean, what, 185,000 or I guess 173,000 without the interest. I don't know how you think you're gonna make that in 6 years as a student who's generally unqualified. But something that I saw in the comments, and I have to actually find the comment, but basically she said that I love that he was able to work, in reference to this person saying that her son worked his way through college. But she said, unfortunately, you're legally capped at 20 hours of work per week during law school, or you get your financial aid package taken away. And I did work those hours. 20 hours of work per week. When I worked retail at H&M, I worked around 20 to 30 hours per week.
Yeah, okay. Be back with him. Legal,
taken away. And I did work those hours per week during. But she said, unfortunately, you're legally capped at 20 hours of work per week during law school, or you get your financial aid package taken away.
Your financial aid package. Can anyone explain me what the financial aid package is? And if you have a financial aid package, then you still end up with $173,000 of student debt. So if that financial aid package is not there, what else? Is it then 200, 250?
And I did work those hours. 20 hours of work per week. When I worked retail at H&M, I worked around 20 to 30 hours per week. And that was not a whole lot of hours. So in other words, the system is rigged against you, and you pretty much have to pull out those loans, or you have to come from rich parents. Next video.
Everyone's always like, Brenda, why are you working so hard? Why are you doing a full-time job and posting on TikTok all the dang time? It's because I have $78,327 in student loans. And you want to know how much unpaid interest I accrued in the month of February? $523.93. And this is me paying at least a minimum of $2,000 per month. Started with a little bit over $150-something thousand because I had the bright idea of going to grad school so that I can graduate in a healthcare job to help people but not get paid enough for the amount of student loans I had to take out. Now, my fault, I went to a private university, but still, it shouldn't be this hard to pay off student loans. But based on my PT salary alone, there is absolutely no way that I could pay this much with just that salary alone and live a breathable, decent life. Make it make sense.
And again,
Yeah.
there's going to be at least 2 or 3 people in the comments who are going to blame people like her for choosing the university she chose and choosing the major that she chose, without recognizing that this problem does not exist in the vast majority of the rest of the developed world. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's inexcusable. There should not be any sort of way that an 18-year-old can pull out that much money in student loans.
Yeah, okay. He's making the argument that we started with, the proof that America is a corporation, not a country. Yeah, okay. You're making his point now that, yeah.
Any kind of debt at all. It shouldn't be possible. At 18 in the US, you're not even legally allowed to walk into the store and buy a beer. But you can take out $150,000 in student loans. And people think this is...
Or handle a gun and go on any call in any nation to defend your nation against foreign intruders. Yeah.
Okay, that's what pisses me off the most. People justify it. They excuse it. They say, well, you should just make smarter decisions. The smarter decision is to vote people into office who do not support shit like this. I know I've just been ranting this whole video, but let me give you an analogy that I think perfectly
I did along. Yeah.
encapsulates how I see the student loan system in modern America. So about a year ago, I got the bright idea to take an IQ test because I wanted to see what my IQ was. I'd never
Okay. That's another risk he took.
taken an IQ test before, and I said, you know what, let me just see where I'm at. Let me see where I'm at. I've been out of school for, 6 years now. Let me see if I still got it. So I go to take this IQ test, and I'm struggling to find one that's free, but I find one that's seemingly free. I go through the test, and I feel like I did pretty well. I get to the end, and it says, pay 50 cents to unlock your results. And I was like, I really don't want to pay money, but sunken cost fallacy, I just spent maybe 15 to 20 minutes of my time. 50 cents is not that bad in comparison. So let me just go ahead and pay the money. Pay the 50 cents. I think it said I got a 117 or a 118, somewhere around there, something above average. And I was like, man, okay, so I'm pretty smart. I have some intelligence on me. You love to see it. A few days later, I'm looking at my bank account and I see the 50-cent charge. Like, okay, cool. And then I see another charge for, I want to say $50. I was like, where did that come from? I don't remember paying $50 for anything in the past few days, because I keep track of all my expenses. Every single transaction I make, I keep track of it. So I'm thinking to myself, I don't recall paying $50 for anything. So I look at it, and then I realize the transaction is from the same source as the 50-cent transaction. And that's when it clicked. I was like, oh, wait a minute. They charged me $50. There must be some sort of mistake. So I go back to the website, and sure enough, I missed the fine print. The fine print said 50 cents for, I think it was a 3-day trial, something like that. Afterwards, it automatically renews at a monthly cost of $49.99 a month.
Yeah.
In other words, I made a dumb decision just so someone could tell me I was smart. That's exactly how I feel the student loan system works in modern day America.
Yeah. Oh, damn. yeah, it's a cooperation. It's ridiculous how America make this kind of students go into debt for the rest of their life, because they are stuck with it for the rest of their lives. They really are. And it's nowhere else. And I will only talk about Europe because I don't know anything about Asia or Canada or all the other nations and in the world. But I know for Europe, that's not done. We protect our kids from making so much debt in their way up to become a professional in whatever career they want to be, and they don't need to pay that kind of money to get educated. Maybe, it's my 2 cents, it's on purpose that this has been done so people don't go to a college or to a university, because if they are smart enough, they don't make good decisions. And that's why in America we got a lot of people just work, because if we have smarter people, then we would have more less control as politicians over them. So it's my 2 cents about keep the people dumb, and I've done a video about that too. Keep the people dumb so you can control them more easier. I don't know. The dumbest person is right now at the helm in a more orange-like skin procedure, I think. Yeah, good. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more of my videos, then maybe this is a good starting point to do looking for. And it would mean the world to me if you hit this subscribe button. It's really good for me and for the YouTube algorithm to make this channel more growing, what we really need. And I will thank all the subscribers that I had for the last 10 days. I believe we went up by, 20 subscribers in 10 days. So thank you for being a subscriber, and thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.